Hi Leo, welcome to your June astrology forecast. I'm putting all the astrology in one video because June is just a crazy month. So I figured I would just talk about it all separate from the tarot. My last tarot reading, I did mention the lunar eclipse that's happening, and I did mention that's happening in your fifth house. But for those of you who didn't catch that, you do have the lunar eclipse on June 5th happening in your fifth house, and that is your house, Leo. You guys are ruled by the sun in that fifth house of fun. It rules love affairs. It rules relationships, not the marital kind. That's more of a seventh house, but this has to do with love affairs, boyfriend, girlfriend relationships, how you guys connect, what you do for fun. It's where sex hangs out, not the deep bonding that you experience when you have a sexual relationship. That's more of an eighth house energy, but it's simply the act of it. It's also the house of children. It's the house of gambling, things you do for fun. Guys, it's also the house of your own business, right? Because since it's children, we could consider our businesses like our children, right? So it's a kind of a big energy, right? So you guys are having the lunar eclipse on the 5th in your fifth house. And what does that mean? So first of all, this is going to be a little bit of a heavy lunar eclipse. I'm not going to lie. It's because it is squaring Mars and it's opposing Venus retrograde. So when we have these energies together, there's a lot of tension rising to the surface. And it's not a great energy for relationships because you want to remember, this is the moon. The moon rules Cancer. Cancer is that fourth house energy. It's about safety. It's about home. It's about roots. It's about protecting, right? It's protecting self. So it's something needs to be eclipsed out that's identified as not being good for us, really, in the long run. Shaking the dead wood off the tree. Something needs to be, looked at that needs to be given up in this area that's not serving, right? That's what's happening with the lunar eclipse. But to have it opposing Mars with, and the Venus squaring Mars rather, and opposing the Venus retrograde, there's going to be these very passionate kind of feelings coming to the surface. Now, if you guys are in a really good, solid relationship, you're going to be fine. You might have issues, whatever, but it's the kind of stuff that after you get through it, you're going to be like, oh, you know what? Like, we're stronger because of it. Or, this brought us closer. Or like, if you had that argument, it was like totally necessary in order to get to where we're at right now. But if you're in that shaky kind of space in a relationship where you're really not sure, where things have been really very unsteady, not the best energy, because I have to tell you that it's like such a simmering kind of energy where it rises to the top, where it's very easy for like love to like that love lust kind of to become like a hate. And it's like with the Venusian energy in there, it could almost be like gluttonous and very irresponsible, and it being very easy to have some sort of indiscretions, right? And this is just the energy that's happening in general with everybody, so that just, you have to just know that like straight out of the gate. Now throw that foundation into your fifth house of having to do with love affairs, boyfriend, girlfriend relationships. So a lot of you guys are going to be really looking front and center at this fifth house energy that, you're dealing with. A lot of you guys are also going to be looking at, and recognizing your urge to distinguish yourself is very unique, right? By expanding and extending the influence you have in your life in areas of creativity, self-expression, hobbies, all things fun. You're going to be recognizing your relationship to all of these things. And really, the energy of the fifth house really wants you to think about what kind of person ignites your passion. And for you to think about what happens during the love affairs in your life that you really connect with. And if you're in a situation right now with a person, or you're involved in something that's not speaking to you on that level, it's time to release it and let it go. That is not part of your path. It's just not. This is not me being a negative Nancy. This is me just telling you the energies, okay? The month gets better though, I promise, right? So we just have to get through that lunar eclipse. It's, the thing is, the energy, it doesn't happen like that. It's going to be rolling out for a few months, but we do have other energies coming in to balance out what's going on here, right? So that's what's going to be happening in your fifth house right now. On the 18th, we do have Mercury retrograde in Cancer. We have this happening in your 12th house. So what does Mercury retrograde in Cancer mean? Okay, Mercury retrograde, obviously, you guys all know what Mercury retrograde at this point means, right? I mean, it's half our flipping life. We can't be too bugged out by it, right? But Mercury does rule Gemini as well as Virgo. Gemini's at 3rd house of communication. Virgo's at 6th house of health, of day-to-day work environment, of our day-to-day. Period, right? So Mercury retrograde is revisiting, renewing, reviewing, going over. How do we take care of our health? How do we communicate? Where are we not being clear enough? Really looking at all of these things and recognizing that we need to review, revisit, revamp in many cases, release in many cases, right? These things that are not working for us. Now, what does Cancer have to do with it? Again, Cancer has to do with our safety, our roots, our home. So it's almost like the Mercury retrograde is happening, but we're looking at it, we're experiencing it through the lens of Cancer, through the lens of what makes me feel safe, what makes me feel rooted. And that is really going to be driving this revisiting, driving the release, driving the renewal. And if we don't feel connected and if we don't feel safe, we need to let these things go, right? So that's what's happening there. Now, what house is it happening in? It's happening in your 12th house, which is naturally associated with Neptune and Pisces. And it's a very internal energy here, guys. And this is interesting because Leo, you guys are out there, right? I mean, you guys are fire energy. You're out there all the time. You're very very front and center with the people, right? But this is a very internal energy. And this is working through the feeling of sacrifice of your separate self, right? To merge with something greater. It's this recognition that you need to do this right now. You really do. You need to review this, renew this, okay? And yet you're fearing the dissolution of boundaries in some area of your life. The tendency to want to escape into whatever brings you temporary gratification is very heavily indicated here and really needs to be looked at, right? So this could be any sort of like drinking too much, eating too much, doing something too much, anything like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be a substance abuse kind of thing. It would be whatever you would get yourself lost in, to an imbalanced degree. We want to think about the devil energy here, right? That I always say is all about that imbalance. At the same time, you're going to be doing a lot of thinking and working through influences on your life from things that you can't fully remember. Okay, it's very weird because you're not, when I say you can't fully remember, it's going to be like an echoing in your subconscious. And a lot of times this is just old karma that's just coming in and saying it's time to burn me off, right? Or this could just be from something that happened from an earlier time in your life, but it's you're feeling this echoing, right? And this is a great energy to go through and work out any deep pattern behaviors, either from this life or the karma from a past life. But while you're going through this kind of global internal processing, that can definitely make you feel pretty confused right now. Again, because whenever Neptune is there, it's like, what is going on, right? It's like trying to look at life through a dirty window, as I always say. You're going to have a great amount of compassion and empathy, like literally out of nowhere, unusually so. Not that you guys don't normally have that, but for other people and for yourself included. So this is a really beautiful energy because you're really going to be doing so much revisiting and digging up in a very personal internal way and really getting in touch with this, which just things that don't serve you anymore. Just things that don't serve you. Now, what's really cool about June is that while this is happening on the 18th, 3 days later on the 21st, we have the solar eclipse in the North Node happening in the same house, the 12th house. And that's about gift. So we have the North Node in Gemini. So sort of Geminian gift is coming in to that 12th house. So what does that mean? So let's throw in learning a new way to meditate, learning a new way to access your sense of self. Coming across that video that's really like epiphany popping for you, meeting up with a new therapist, anything that's going to really feed that ability for you to get in touch with the deepest sense of yourself in such a beautiful and healthy way. You're going to feel super creative is another gift that could be popping here. Your ideas for things that you want to do for work, ideas of just ways of expressing yourself. I mean, the 12th house is really big. New fantasies that you've identified where you're letting go of an old these old past wants that you thought you wanted and coming up with a whole new set of dreams and fantasies for yourself. But how is that happening? It's happening through the solar eclipse gift of the North Node, which is Gemini, which is about information, right? Because Gemini is a very, very intellectual energy, and it's about learning, right? Gemini is the student. It's about, you know, information coming in via the internet, just any sort of medium, right? And any sort of learning medium. So this could be you meeting up with just a new mentor, some sort of, light worker who is your teacher, who you want to study with. Anything like that is really going to be just very benefic for you. And what I love about this for you, Leo, is that this is not the most comfortable place for you because it's watery and you guys are fire, right? And what happens when fire goes into water? It's like, right? But you are like, no, I'm going to do this. And I really, really like this for you because there's going to be so much growth. And this is going to be deeply relating and connecting to your day-to-day, right? Because those 12th house, 6th house energies do work in tandem with each other. So I do like that. So whatever changes you're going to be making in that 12th house, whatever gifts are going to be happening for you there, it's going to translate into your everyday. It's going to translate into you being a healthier version of yourself. It's going to translate into, you can even be learning something in that 12th house energy that you end up deciding to make into a business for yourself. Because the 6th house is that day-to-day business, right? Where you get so into studying the occult, studying astrology, studying Reiki, studying yoga, studying anything that's spiritual like that, psychology, anything like that, right? And then deciding that this is what you want to do, right? For like a living, right? I mean, this is where like this is the kind of energy that births like life coaches, that kind of thing, right? So good for you. So good. And then on the 25th, we have in your 11th house, we have Venus, thank God, going direct finally in your 11th house. It's been retrograde in there for quite a bit, and it's going to be going direct. And what happens when Venus goes direct is Venus is born in that house, right? So you want to think about, well, first of all, why don't we talk about what that 11th house means? The 11th house, naturally associated with Saturn, Uranus, and Aquarius, is all about the future. So I love this for you, Leo, because this is about you really saying, you know what? I'm not looking back so much anymore. Enough with behind me. It's all about here. I'm going forward. The energy of this house brings on the urge to become something greater than what you already are, and to move beyond this image of yourself that exists right now, the way you see yourself, the way you see your life right now. You're going to be rethinking your current friends and the groups that you associate with. As well as your larger goals and your objectives, right? And what did I just say about the 12th house? So this is about your hopes, your wishes, where you see your life going. This energy pushes you to pay particular attention to the serendipitous things that occur in your life as you're moving forward on this path that you have set for yourself. And there are things that you're going to encounter while pursuing your everyday that can be nuggets of truth telling you where you need to go, and often what you need to return to. So, it does depend on, where you're at in your life. But this is such a great forward-moving energy. So this is great because with Venus in there, remember, Venus is about self-worth and love. And when I say money, it's resources. And resources is also, it works in tandem with this beautiful sense of self where you're just going to feel more connected. So you're going to be connecting with something that is really going to be, I just feel your life is just going to be moving forward in such a beautiful direction. Leo, I really do. Now, the last two things that I want to mention real quick before we wrap this up is we do have Mars entering Aries on the 27th, which is very, very positive because Mars rules Aries, and it's the Emperor energy, right? So think Emperor energy. Emperor is large and in charge, leader of the zodiac. Aries is the leader of the zodiac. Emperor is the leader of the tarot. So, and what do we mean by that? It's about being very confident, very laser focused on the future, a fresh path, a new perspective, moving forward. Let's go. It's feeling brave enough to do it, though. It's It's not worrying about so much that you don't have it all figured out. It's having this laser focus and being willing to take the chances. Now, let's throw that on top of 3 days later, on the 30th, we have Jupiter conjunct Pluto. Now, this is the second round in this set of 3. We're going to have one more, but this is the second Jupiter conjunct Pluto. So Jupiter is it's benefic. It's all about luck and expansion. It rules Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all about moving forward with integrity, right? It's conjunct Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio, which is very intuitive. Pluto's all about luck and Pluto's all about transformation. So when we say that, it's about the ending of a cycle with the simultaneous beginning of something new. So there's newness here. There's future going on here for you. Now, one of the most positive uses of this transit is to drive to better yourself. So there's going to be this desire to get involved in something new. There's going to be this reconnection to your faith system, to belief in things, in people, in yourself, right? I mean, this is just so great. What else do I want to say about that? I mean, this is just a time for personal growth and expansion. Very ambitious time, very strong desire for success, absolutely. But what I like about this is the collective is this transition generally favors big business, the law, grants, taxes, education, and commerce. Increased influence, faith, insights are likely now. Those of you who haven't done your taxes yet, good. Do it now, like here, right? Great energy, like they're due on the 15th of July here in the States. So if you haven't done them yet, it's like good, this is a very good energy to, at the end of the month, right, into July to do your taxes. But what I like about it, on a more global level, really is the coming together, right, of the law, of government, of assistance, of people helping each other, right, to move forward with this shared vision, the shared idea to create this, and dare I say, because I don't even like the saying, but this new normal that we have to find, right? That, but the only little caveat with the Jupiter conjunct Pluto is you want to make sure that you don't end up falling into that pocket of obsession with self-righteousness or even exaggeration, right? Because wherever there's Jupiter, there can be exaggeration. So you just want to make sure that you're staying as grounded as you can, as grounded as you can. Because we have fire and we have water in there, like there's no earth involved in this energy. So you just want to be careful of that. Just be mindful of that. Just tap into your earth energy if you can, right? In that energy. But that is what we have for you. I think that's all I want to say. Pretty much those are all the main things that we're going to be dealing with. I will be getting that Black Moon Lilith video out to you guys in a few days. I promise. I've been super busy. I'm sorry. But I will be getting that out this week. But until then, you guys take care and stay healthy. See you then. Bye-bye.